Welcome to Called to Encouraged. Today's encouragement comes from Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 4, which tells us, whoever looks at the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. So, what is that telling us? It's talking to us about procrastination. Stop waiting. So, I would like to encourage my brothers and sisters today to be careful when it comes to procrastination. Why? Procrastination is a thief. Okay. It will rob you of what God may have in store for you to receive, what for you to reap. If we don't sow, and a lot of times we don't sow because we're scared. We're afraid to move forward. We're afraid. Is there something that has been in your heart that you have wanted to do? You've prayed about it, or that there's something that you need to move forward in. Maybe it's a financial task. Maybe it's a health related task. Maybe it's speaking to somebody that you need to speak to, confront somebody, or make amends with somebody. Maybe it's starting something new. Maybe it's continuing your education. Maybe it's writing a book, starting a business, getting on your health kick, going to the doctor. There's so many things that we procrastinate. Little things like making a phone call that you need to make, answering emails that you need to do, fixing your finances, whatever it is. There's so many things that this life brings us that we procrastinate in. And why do we do that? Sometimes we're afraid. We're afraid of the result. Fear is like one of the biggest reasons for procrastination. Another reason is that causes us is that we feel like we need to wait for the right time. The right time is now. That's why I love the scripture when it says, whoever watches the wind will not plant. It's like if we're waiting for that perfect moment to do the thing that we know that we're supposed to do, there is no such thing as the perfect moment. Tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So if God has given us, has woken us up, opened our eyes, and we're in our right mind, what are we waiting for? It can cause missed opportunities. Instead of moving forward, going to do that thing, we procrastinate and we miss the opportunity. And that's with any of those things that I mentioned earlier across the board. And the other thing is, we can't allow the enemy to put that fear in us. We're afraid, if we do this, what if this happens? What if that happens? Well, what if something fabulous happens? It's not always something negative that could happen. We have to forget about fear, put that to the back burner, and walk by faith. It's an opportunity for believers to exercise your faith. Exercise our faith when we don't procrastinate. That's just one of the biggest things. And we can't worry about what the outcome is if we're trusting God. We have to trust God with our outcome. And you know what? Maybe sometimes the outcome may not be favorable, what we're looking for. But I believe that when we stay in relationship with God, and we're praying, we're praying about what it is that we need to do. We can put that to the side. The word also says that we won't reap, meaning that if we don't move forward and do what we're supposed to do, we won't receive our harvest. We're sitting and we're waiting for this and that, and I'll do it later. Or, have you ever found yourself doing that? Oh, I need to do this and that, but I'll do it later. I'll do it later. How do we know later is going to come, right? So just be encouraged to, if you find yourself in an area of procrastination, know that is coming from the enemy. Move forward. Stop putting off. There's a saying that says, don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. Because, like I said before, we don't even know if we have tomorrow, And how exciting it would be for us to just get up and just do that thing that God has placed in our heart, or just placed in our mind, knowing that these are things that we need to be doing. And let's stop being scared to do it, and let's stop being lazy. I had mentioned the enemy. Sometimes it's not always the enemy. Sometimes it's us. For whatever the reason. Maybe we're lazy, maybe we're afraid, maybe I think those are the two biggest reasons. Or we're not sure of how to move. You want to do these things, but you don't know how. And that's why we just have to stay in relationship with God and speak to God about it. And He will direct our path. So I encourage you, if you're in a season of procrastination, get out of that season. It's time to move on. It's time to move forward and reap the harvest that God has set forth before you, that He has to offer you. We'll never know if we don't do it. Eyes haven't seen nor ears heard the things that the Lord has for those of us. You know what I mean? So that scripture is, I might have quoted it a little bit wrong, but basically that's what it's saying. We don't know unless we step out of our comfort zone. And you know what? Maybe that's God's way of stretching us. Just go ahead and do it. So that's my encouragement today. Get up and go do it. And reap what God has in store for you. Whatever that is. Okay? God bless you. I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.